Hello, I am Aviva reporting live in Jerusalem from room 552 for Israel 24/6 TV. It is May 3rd, 2008. Shabbat ended here in Jerusalem a few hours ago, and we are enjoying a beautiful spring evening. Welcome to this edition of Fact, Not Commentary. A few days ago I reported about the investigation Major General Yoav Gallant of the GOC Southern Command ordered concerning the civilian losses in Beit Hanun after an IDF aerial attack on two armed Arab gunmen on April 28th. An official Israel Defense Force announcement has been forwarded to the press here in Israel, stating that the appointed inquiry group has finished its work and delivered its conclusions. And I quote, "Conclusions rising from the investigation point out the following. A. 4 armed gunmen firing at the soldiers were spotted in the area carrying backpacks loaded with ammunition and various weaponry. B. The attacks against the gunmen were accurate and the gunmen were hit. C. The secondary explosions triggered by the weaponry and ammunition carried by the gunmen were bigger than the ones caused by the ammunition used by the IDF. D. The possibility that the family was hit by other IDF fire was eliminated, since this was the only incident recorded that day in which attacks were carried out in the area. E. The professional opinion of the IDF states that the family was hit during the explosion of the second missile that ignited the secondary explosions, or from objects that had flown towards them from the strength of the explosion." End quote. The IDF also confirmed that between the 28th and 29th of April 2008, a real terror threat was ascertained in the Isbet neighborhood of Beit Hanun. Based upon the intelligence received, the IDF made a conscious decision to act against that threat. This involved a search and arrest procedure for armed Arab combatants in the area, and quoting again from the remainder of that same IDF-issued evaluation, "During the morning hours, complex fighting occurred on the area that morning, fighting in which armed gunmen were firing mortar shells, anti-tank missiles, and light weapons, and activating explosive devices from within dense areas. 3 IDF soldiers were lightly wounded during the fighting. 4 gunmen firing at the soldiers were spotted carrying backpacks loaded with ammunition. 1 gunman carrying one of the backpacks was targeted and hit from the air. As a result, a strong secondary explosion occurred. Immediately after the explosion, the second gunman was targeted and hit as well, causing an even bigger explosion. Both explosions were significantly stronger than those caused by the IDF attacks against them. In light of the sensitivity of the matter, and in order to leave no doubt regarding the circumstances of the incident, the IDF held a number of investigations that strengthened the IDF position to the story published the night of the incident. It should be emphasized that the armed gunmen were operating nearby the family's house, therefore endangering their lives. The IDF wishes to express sorrow for any harm to unassociated civilians caused due to terrorist organizations operating from populated centers, using them as human shields." End quote. As is often the case when a holiday approaches here in Israel, last week the Israel Defense Force announced a general closure of Judea and Samaria during the Holocaust Remembrance Day. And last Thursday they announced that the closure had been lifted. According to their communique, this was done after associated security assessments. The communique stated further that even during the closure, that per the authorization of the District Coordination and Liaison Offices, humanitarian cases, doctors, medical personnel, and additional professional groups were permitted passage as needed on a case-by-case evaluation. And finally, the Israel Defense Force also reiterated its commitment to defending the sovereign state of Israel, her citizens, and her borders. And in that same communique, the IDF also reiterated its commitment to preserving the fabric of life as much as possible for the Arab population in Hamas-ruled Gaza. And that concludes this edition of Fact Not Commentary. I am Aviva Lee, reporting live in Jerusalem from room 552 for Israel 24/6 TV. Thank you, and shalom. Good night.